elegant weapon for the more civilized age.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to An Elegant Weapon, episode 366. My name is J.M. Clark, J the Jedi Ross, Jedi J, and as always, it is so wonderful to have all of you back here with us in the Smoking Pod studio atop beautiful Hamilton Mountain in Ontario, Canada. Day 3 of our Source Point Press Party. Sorry we missed day 2. But we do have to give our thoughts and love out to Midland, Michigan. Some dams broke, some infrastructure failed, some houses were flooded. Source Point Press's own editor-in-chief had to evacuate, but he's fine. The family's fine. Everybody's good. He's got a little water to pump out of the basement. But other than that, it could have been much worse. And I think he's pretty happy about how lucky they were. So I'm glad to hear that all went down and everybody else is good. Hope you're all still chilling well in your quarantine. Just give me one sec here. We're still getting used to the Zoom, as everybody knows. It's good times. See, that's the one part I haven't been able to figure out yet is how to mute the comment thing before you bring it up. But you know what? I'm going to figure it out one of these days, kids. And I hit the wrong share. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me tonight, Source Point Press heavy hitter himself, Mr. Ben Goldsmith. Ben, it is so wonderful to see your bright, beautiful face once again. I miss you so much when you're not around, and isolation is just making it that much worse. How the hell are you doing?
I'm great, man. Thanks. Heavy hitter. I like that. Thank you. I'll take that. Also, I think for the news, so people know, Travis and his family escaped on their dog. They rode that massive beast down the river and to safety. All 4 of them were able to fit snugly on that beast that they now have in their house.
Well, I'm just glad everybody's okay. And I'm glad you're doing well. You're getting through quarantine well, as we were just discussing. Yes.
Yeah, no, this is it's been good. I mean, there's a strange elephant in the room scenario on this one, right? Like, this is the worst possible thing that could have happened for some people, and all that I can do is make it the best possible thing at the moment, right? So I've actually been able to use this time to be really creative, get a lot of things going. So I've been able to maximize this time, and my family and everyone is doing well. And I say that full well knowing that isn't the experience of a lot of people. So my fullest and deepest respect to the people who don't have that ability or opportunity, but maybe in really their honor, and anyone else who doesn't have that ability right now, I am trying to make the best of it, which I really have, man. And it seems like you have too.
Man. I have, a lot of people, it seems, have gone one way or the other. They've either kind of, let a few pounds get added to the couch physique, or they have maybe, decided to set a goal for themselves. Personally, I got a little healthier. And you yourself cleaned up a little bit too, as we were just talking about.
I did, yeah.
Less of the elbow tipping here.
You
writers, though, man, especially you. You're so Bahamian. You're like the most like Walt Whitman guy I fucking know, man. Just without the violence.
No, that's for sure true. My violence goes right into the scripts, man. It all gets exercised. Plus, I was, so when I was a kid, if we have never met in real life, people of the world, I'm 6'2", 6'3", 250, right? So like, I'm a big guy, and I've always been this big, even when I was a kid, really. So I was always the most adverse to violence, because I would be on the basketball court in like 5th grade and just bumping into someone, they would go down. So my guilt level was always massive. So I actually am like so violence averse. I've never.
Well, you're the definition of gentle giant. We call people like that all the time, but
I've actually never. This is an exclusive to the podcast here. I've never been in a fight before.
Really?
Not one.
I've been in one fight.
One.
And, one fight where I had to fight a guy over a girl.
How old were
And
you?
I was grade 10. So
Grade 10.
what's that? 17?
So, yeah, something like that.
Around
It's
there, something like
or
17, 18.
maybe even younger, 10, 6. I think I was 16
But
sophomore
it was
year.
just your classic girl coming between two guys type thing. And then we fought. And the funny thing is, it was right at exam time. And on my concrete head, he broke both his hands. And he came to school the next day all wrapped up. It's funny because he was the son of a teacher at my high school.
Oh my God.
His dad was one of my teachers one time for a class. And he Jay Webb says hello, fellas. What's up, Jay Webb?
Hey, what's up, Webb?
And yeah, so he got out of his writing his exams and was able to like take them like, audibly because he broke his hands trying to break my concrete head. He should have known better.
Yeah. Did he, who got the girl? That's the question.
In the end, he got the girl, but I had already had the girl. And
So
I had the girl for like 3 years and then lost the girl to him. Fully did,
do you think if you had a better fight that it would have changed things, you think?
No.
No,
no. Because immediately I remember because after I kicked his ass, because it was a hockey fight, basically. Like we came at each other across the field and he kind of jumped up like, to come down and kind of start fighting.
Yeah.
And I instinctively like ducked down and
go for the midsection.
His gut.
Yep.
Right. And then he came on top of me and I reached up and I jerseyed him. And I fucking grabbed his shirt. I pulled it up, like not over his head, but behind his head.
It's the most Canadian way to fight ever.
This was the fight. Was my fist? It was jackhammer. Just boom,
dude.
Boom.
It says so much that the Canadian instinct is to immediately pull the jersey up.
I never played hockey, man. I never played hockey.
You go right for it. Well, this is how we fight. You throw gloves off that aren't even there.
Let's go. Totally. Yeah. So he was punching from up top, so he's hitting me in the back of the head and broke his hands. And I was just firing up like this, right? And then eventually he went down, kind of wrapped around my legs. I remember this so vividly, and I kind of kicked him off me. And then he rolled away and got up, and we were like staring at each other. And that's when I did like the teenager thing or whatever. I was like, fucking yeah, enough. This is fucking over.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of ended, but immediately she was all like, poor baby to him, like, are you okay? Like,
oh man,
he even won losing because he got his ass kicked and he got the girl's sympathy, right?
Yeah, I mean, he also ended up with 2 broken hands. If that's not the greatest.
There's a couple trade-offs in that whole goddamn thing,
Yeah,
what I mean?
I think the other part about like just the fights is that you've got what we in Boston call a scrappy face. You've got you're the type of guy who it looks like.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're scrappy. Like you're okay. Did you ever see The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
Christian Bale, scrappy.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like a guy who is just like unassumingly, it would just get in there.
Well, yeah, I would. Here's the thing, though. A lot of that is grown because I was a sweet little fat little drama kid. I was a little goth kid in high school.
Time out. You were a drama kid?
Are you kidding? Like
we've never.
Have you met me?
Dude, I was a drama kid. I did all that.
Yeah.
But we never talked about this.
Hey, listen, it was grade 1, okay? And they had a Mother's Day performance and they put on Peter Rabbit. And I'd never really understood like plays or anything like that before, you know what I mean? And I got cast as Peter Rabbit. So it was just the mothers came into the classroom. It was like grade 1 and we did a little Peter Rabbit play. And I have never felt a feeling like that of all the attention on me, like saying these words. And I was hooked instantly. And my whole life up from then up to the end of when I left high school was just drama and movies. All I want to do was make movies and do drama. So I did plays all the way up and a lot of community theater and this and that. But then I had my whole goth period in high school where I literally, like Robert Smith would have been jealous of my hair. Just black, dyed, spiked, haired, just, Edward Scissorhands shit, right? And perfect, black trench coat, black boots, army boots, the whole fucking 9, right?
Yeah.
And because I was just such a sad boy. And,
well, in a way that's a costume, right? Like there's elements of the dramatic to it too,
right? It was comforting at the time.
I
remember how comforting it was because I was a mess. I had some things to deal with. I had some daddy abandonment issues, and my mom had me when she was like barely 18. So it wasn't the easiest upbringing with a single mom who's a kid and doesn't really know how to. And I'm not blaming my mom for anything, but I had to figure a lot of shit out for myself because she just hadn't figured it out yet.
Well,
You
and
know what I
drama's
mean?
the perfect. I spent all of my time in drama. Like I would skip classes and just go to the drama department.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and a part of that is that because all right, you're reading all these plays and all these plays are cemented, right? So first of all, everything you're saying is already set, so you don't have to worry about that, which means you don't have to worry about disappointing people.
Oh, Casey. Yes. Sorry. Casey says
Mm.
she was vice president of her drama club.
Oh, she's still vice
So.
president of the drama club, if you know what I mean. I love you, Casey. I'm sorry. Actually, Casey's doing me a favor right now. I'm writing a Seance from novel, with
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
unused script from the Seance room. So she's actually going to be contributing a short story to it. Where they're
Oh,
yeah, man. So like I gave her the keys to the Seance room. Basically, I said, just whatever ghost you want to use, whatever you want to do, just go to town.
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's gonna be
yeah.
amazing. What a fun fit to have her slip in on there, right? We'll
We,
have to explain to the people what we're talking about too. So wait,
yeah,
before we get too into it, thank you and welcome to all the wonderful people who are joining here. It's great to see you all. Love you all. Ben here. Ben is in Boston.
I am.
And
Where the
Ben is
scrappy
a
people are.
writer. But well, Ben, you're a lot of things. You're like we were just talking about. You're a creative fellow. You're a musician. You play music. You play instruments. Obviously the realm of this podcast, you're here as a comic book writer for
Yeah,
Source
yeah.
Point Press. Your main title, I guess, being the Seance Room.
Yep.
And
Nothing. I take no umbrage with any of that.
And the exciting thing of having Casey come in to write the Seance Room is that I do say she's such an excellent fit. So why don't you take the moment to explain the Seance Room so people can understand what kind of fit that is?
Sure. Yeah, of course. So the Seance Room is an anthology series where this guy Harry Weiss owns a mansion where there are 6 ghosts who are all trapped in, and each issue someone goes in who usually deserves to be there for one reason or another, and the ghosts sort of take it too far. That's more or less the idea, right? But each one is each story sort of revolves around a specific point that maybe is a bone of contention for me in life, and that I get to sort of suss out through that. So the way I always describe it is think Tales from the Crypt if it was written by the writers of Twilight Zone.
That's fun, man. And it's a beautiful book all the
Thanks,
way
man.
through. And you've had a few people collaborate, talk about your teammates and stuff.
Yeah, Kayla Valerio, who started it all off, who without her, I would never have gotten even a foot in the door. She's so friggin' good. She does the painter thing, right? And that at the time, that was the thing. It was like at the time there was nothing. Well, that's not true because actually Sean Seal, who is the reason
he kind of started the trend.
Yeah.
No, it definitely fit the mold of something that Source Point was doing that no one else was.
Yeah, well, and
very unique.
It was funny too because I was talking to Bob Sally at one point, and Salvengers had been doing really well for him, and we were talking at a con once, and he was like, if I could do it all again, I would have done an anthology series, because the trouble with selling the ongoing thing is that if you run out of book 1 and 3 at a convention and you still have 2, 4, and 5, like you're fucked. Like you try and sell
ending up in bundles at the end of the day.
Yeah, but with the anthology thing, I can just go buy 2. It's its own story. Like I'll fill you in on the maybe smattering of information that you might need, but go to town. So I kind of lucked into that being the first one. So selling was pretty good, but Sean, actually, have I ever told you this? How I got into Source Point and all those guys?
I don't know if I've heard. I'm sure at some point you've told me the origin story, but I would love to hear it again.
Yeah, no, the annotated version is just that I was turned down for this one company, and one of the things they told me was get an online presence, and so I was against it. I really didn't.
I remember you starting all that.
Yeah, because I really didn't want to. I was, I guess, sort of a neophyte in that respect. But finally, I set up the Instagram, I set up the Twitter, I set up all this stuff. And one of the people I ended up following just because I liked the art was Sean Seal. So then Boston Comic Con 2016 or 15, he was there, and I saw the name, and I was like, oh, no way, because you see the name on the little placard, and it's exciting. And like, there's this big, goofy, redheaded son of a bitch next to him, you know, and it's Travis, and it's the two of them. And this is before they were even in Diamond or anything, right? Like, I think they had just taken over, you know, Travis had just sort of started wedging his way in there. And so, but the lesson that I always took from that was that I took the advice from failure, which is getting knocked out of this other company to and they you know said, well, you need it on that. Okay, well, if that's the lesson I can take from this shit, then I will take that lesson, right? So I did. Followed people that I respected and liked, met Sean, met Travis. Here we are.
Well, you fell into one hell of a community to start.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, Source
like,
Point, that's their specialty, right?
Oh
is person to person, you know, relationships, creator to fan relationship.
Yeah, I say it all the
Nobody
time.
does it like Source Point Press does.
No, I don't know how other people who start off in other companies who don't sort of have the school of David Hayes and the school of Greg Wright and Casey Pierce get to be anything or anywhere. Like, I don't understand how what business model there is for people who don't know how to sell the way that Source Point
Well,
does.
a lot of this has been originated by Source Point in a way. Like, obviously, you know, not doing cons or this and that, but it was done off the cuff, not knowing what they were doing, to the extent of where they're just selling comics at shows. And that's how it started. And then more shows and more shows and more comics and more comics. And that snowballs into everything that it is now, which, you know, and it's been a constant evolution, trying things, getting to know shows. Like, nobody knows shows like Source Point. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
Travis, he still calls it. I mean, if you're with him at the shows, he's like, you guys slinging paper. You know, it's what he still calls it to this day. When you're out,
it's always been a grind. It always will be a grind. But quarantine's been interesting because the grind went away. And I am so proud of the innovation and the risks and the, you know,
well, so yeah, I mean,
the new ideas. It's been great. And, you know, Source Point took some chances in the last little while on trying some new stuff that have paid off exponentially, and will probably stick around even if things went back to normal. Right?
Well, so, you know, I'll say this in full earnesty, because we don't often do that when we're talking about each other in the cons. But, you know, Travis, to his credit, and I really truly do mean this, like, to his credit, he looked at the situation and said, the thing that we've been doing is not going to be able to be done. So I either lose this that we've all worked for, or we innovate. And he innovated. And so we when I remember I think it was in March when we got our quarterly checks.
Yeah.
And I texted him. I said, dude, I'm okay right now. Like, you can use yours, pay the staff who's working in the warehouse, all this kind of stuff. And he said, we don't need you. We don't need that. And I called him, which I never do. And I was like, dude, what are you talking? And he told me about what they had been doing and what Nolan and what Deepwater and all those guys, the decisions that they had made just through Oxeye. And yeah, man. So not to get too you know, verbose about it, but yeah, they much respect to all those guys for being able to look at a situation and, instead of crippling with the anxiety and the fear of it, just working around. But you know what, again, that does speak to how it's always been, because, you know, you go, hey man, you want to buy a comic? They say, nah, I don't fucking like it, your comic sucks. And we're like, yeah, it does suck. Hey, but did you see this page? You know what I mean? Like, we've all always been about that.
Well, Travis's proudest moment through this has been that he was able to pay his workers and not lay them off.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all he cared about. And that just goes to his character, as we all know, you know. And it's cool because now we can back the comeback, as today is backing the comeback. Kids, get out to your LCSs because comics are on the distribution train again.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are able to have a little bit of joy and fun finally. You know, we've all been tagging each other and doing the back to comeback. And, you know, it's nice for everybody to be able to smile over something, because it's been such a mess. Like, one of the things I'm most disappointed about, you know, and we're going to reschedule Travis, by the way, kids. I do apologize that I talked about that at the beginning of the show.
You did.
Yes,
yeah. I mean,
why he's not here. But we are going to reschedule that, by the way.
By the way, is that not the most 2020 thing that could have happened at this point?
Pretty much.
You're like, hey, motherfuckers, now you're flooded, by the way. Also.
Oh, wait, this too. There you go. My ultimate favorite meme that I have seen through this whole thing is Jesus lighting, you know, the Jesus with the wide eyes, like lighting the smoke.
No, I don't think I do. Like, not Buddy Christ.
No, it's like it's an up close of Jesus. It's on my thing, or I'll send it to you. And it's up close
Right.
of Jesus, and he's got like wide, crazy eyes, and he's like lighting a cigarette or like a joint. And it says, I don't know, it says something. It says, "All right, send in the murder hornets."
Oh
You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just,
Right.
but it's the look on his face is just like fucking. It's so hilarious. But you know, we got to evolve. You know, it's been weird for me because now everything, now all the cons have kind of crept into my world online, and all of a sudden everybody's interviewing each other,
Yeah, but
and
here's
it
the
turned me off in the beginning to the point where I spent a couple weeks not podcasting and let everybody get settled. And now I've come back because, you know, I just missed it because it's so much fun. But everybody has a show now on YouTube, and it's great. Everybody should. I'm not complaining, but
right.
holy crap, everything just switched so quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing that I'm curious about is, have you attended any of the online conventions or anything like that yet?
Little bits and pieces, but
These bits,
nothing
yeah,
crazy.
and that's the thing is like I mean, as they stand now, like I don't think that that's at all the future, not even close, because it's just not fun to sit there in your house and stare at the things going on
No,
or
but
other,
I do think that online activities will continue. Let me tell you about something that happened here this week, last
yeah,
weekend. Be a Hero Canada. A few of the details I'm going to forget because I'm stoned and I do that. But like, I think it was 4 or 5 comic books around Canada got together and put on an event, kind of like an online con for the weekend. And it was called Be a Hero Canada, right? And the Dragon out of Guelph, Gotham Central in Mississauga, Carlos, our good friend, very good friend of Source Point Press.
Carlos.
You know, and I believe Freak Show was in there. Freak Show Comics did a thing in there too. Amy and Keith out in Niagara, also huge Source Point supporters.
Yep, I've talked to those guys online. They're very good.
Oh, they're
Creators.
fantastic. I finally got to meet them at Frightmare in the Falls this year, and they're super, super awesome people. So they got together and they just had like a thing where, you know, a bunch of Canadian, like Sean Daly did one where he just did a tutorial kind of thing of how he goes about making art, right?
That's cool.
And then there were some interviews. Mark Asquith, who anybody Canadian listening knows who I'm talking about, is a big deal in the community. He's a longtime journalist, producer, showrunner. He had a show called Prisoners of Gravity here that was like a sci-fi kind of news media show, and it was like G4 before G4 in a way,
Yeah.
but it was a lot more about like literature and stuff. It was a great classic show, and he was like a producer on Space, which was like our sci-fi and stuff. So he interviewed fucking Neil Gaiman. So
Okay.
yeah, so this thing's filled with like amazing people, right? Like Jason Liu did some stuff, Scott Chandler, you know, Richard Pace, a whole bunch of Ken Lashley did a thing, but Neil Gaiman Skyped in to talk to Mark, or zoomed in, and it was amazing. And he went on and just like talked about Canada for like a half an hour. And he was just like, this is where it started for me. It was the beguiling. My very first signing was in Toronto. Like I took off like a rocket in Toronto before anyone else in the world, including in London. And like, he was just like waxing poetic about it. And it was so much fun, as like, you know, obviously as a biased local to watch, but he was so sweet of him to take the time for, you know, this little charity that was helping all the comic book shops. Right.
Yeah. So I would say that that definitely fits in line with what I've heard about him in general. But also,
Yeah.
if people are going to try to get these cons going, I think they absolutely need to get the big name people into, you know, because everyone I've seen so far has been all the people that I respect and love. But I mean, if you're just a, a general fan, you know, you buy 2 or 3 comics a week maybe, but you're not really going outside of DC and Marvel, like unless you get the big name, the Tom Hiddlestons and shit like that, to just do like a 15-minute thing, talk, and if you watch that one, you can only watch that if you attend like 3 other events through the day online.
I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah, this one was really well organized.
Yeah.
Like kudos to all of you folks, because it was super well organized. It was just the way they were letting you know, like you didn't feel like you were getting blasted with information, even though they did keep informing you of what was coming up and what was going to happen and this and that. But yeah, just really, really smooth, and like I say, like well organized, not too complex, you know, yet fun, interesting stuff to pay attention to. Like, they were giving enough warnings that I knew, like, oh, the next day at 3 was going to be Scott Chandler's like conversation. Like, I don't want to miss that, right?
Oh, good.
By the way, Scott Chandler, I told you as we were getting on to the show here to remind me to talk to you about Bix. Now, Bix, I can't remember his proper name, but that's the nickname. It's the shortened last name nickname of a jazz musician from like the 30s. And this is a new graphic novel coming about the, his life by Scott Chandler. Scott Chandler is a Canadian cartoonist. And super awesome, nice, cool guy. But he does like Darwin Cook type art, or like Jay's like retro like type art. You know what I mean? He's like a classic like 50s type art deco cartoonist. You know?
Yeah,
because
the context for all this was that you and I were talking earlier, but just about the Jay is a very good friend at this point, Fosgate, and I didn't know that was him who did your logo, because it's it's so different, and I was like, oh, I love that, because that anything angular, that art, like you said, the Art Deco, they call it like Googie, where it's all the, you think about like the Stardust and the Rat Pack and
is that what it's called? Oogie?
Googie, yeah.
Googie?
Yeah, I learned that from my fiance, who is
knew that.
Particular favorite of hers.
Right.
Well, actually, and then also like, so I have the comic Beyond the Demon and the Sea, right, which is all it's all that tattoo art.
Yeah.
And Ben Templesmith did the cover for me. So, and I'm describing this comic to him, and he's like, yeah, it's flash art. And I was like, no, nothing to do with the running guy. And he's like, no, that's what it's called, man. So that's another one where I just learned that recently, that any of the tattoo art that is associated with sort of the sailors and Sailor Jerry and nautical shit, that's called flash art, which I had no idea. I mean, why would you know?
I thought flash more meant individual pieces.
It might also,
that's I think that is a definite, but that's usually what that nautical art is. You don't have big like ocean like scapes. You have like an anchor and a seahorse and a fucking titty mermaid or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Did
I tell you that after doing the book with Davey and all that stuff, I ended up getting really into the idea of flash art mixed with sort of more contemporary things. So I actually got a giant Rocky Horror Flash tattoo.
What?
It's Frankenfurter as a pinup girl.
Where is it?
I'm gonna break my fun secret for you right now.
Why you were prepared for this?
Well, no, I wanted to, my contribution to quarantine life is that the joke is everyone's always doing these things without pants. Well, guess what? I actually am doing this without pants, my friend. All right, because quarantine. We should be honest with ourselves, but here, no, look, you actually see.
Yeah, let's see this.
That
is amazing.
Yeah,
so I just blasted the sound there, but that is gorgeous.
There you go. Just so everyone knows too, no pants, because Ben Goldsmith doesn't live a lie. God damn it!
I didn't know you were that big a Frankenfurter fan, man.
Yeah. I'm a regular Frankie fan, as was
Rocky
said.
Horror in Toronto was one of our very New Yorkish types things. Like, you know how it's a known thing, like when indie theaters would show Rocky Horror, and people would come dressed up and throw toast and rice and the whole.
My dad used to bring me to them. That's where that came from.
That was a hardcore regular thing in Toronto for a long time.
Yeah,
like that was one of the places where that shit went down hardcore. You know what I mean? For some reason, I don't know what it is, but it's a big musical town, I guess, like a Broadway like town, Toronto.
Well, you guys also have it's an offbeat town too, right? Like so because when I went up there for the Toronto Comic Con there, not only was that my first time in Toronto, that was my first time in Canada, dude. That was my first time in Canada. And I stayed with Devin when I was up there, and Devin had to bring me around. Do you remember the story where I went into the store and asked them if they took English money, because it didn't occur to me that it was like a completely different economy, right? Like and also Toronto is it feels so much like an American city that it just maybe like so I walk in and I said, do you guys take English dollar? Which, by the way, it's not, I didn't ask them if they took US dollars. I asked them if they took English dollar, like the fucking pound. I don't know. And poor Devin is just who. And by the way, I mean Devin pretty well, right? And he's a pretty straight laced guy. Ultimately, like dresses to the nines. He's a very well put together guy. So I mean, collapse, embarrassment, just head to toe, man. And like the big dumb American, like there's your bird, and they, yeah, man. So that was my first time, but my experience was that walking, because we did a ton of walking. Devon is a pretty walk.
It's a big walk. It's a walkable city.
It's a walkable city. So and I asked him, I wanted to do that, right? And what I noticed was like every single street, just like the hippest coffee shops, the hippest tattoo shops, the hippest clothing shops, the hippest, so it definitely strikes me as a town that would like Rocky Horror. I mean,
well, here's one cool thing, and one of the ways that it is really New York Junior in a way is, especially with like, the proximity to New York and the age of it. And also that it's our only, like, yeah, we have got other major cities, but if you ever go to Vancouver, it's a coastal town, it's not a giant city. Mm-hmm. It's not a Toronto, you know what I mean? And you got Montreal and stuff, and that's like just an ancient city. So, and, all old, it feels like you're kind of like, in Europe and stuff, but Toronto has to have a little bit of everything, because it's the only, it's like, it's the biggest city in the whole country. Yeah. And we don't have these giant countries that like cities like you do in every state. Right. So there's gotta be a little bit of everything, which makes it super eclectic,
I will say that the bucket list for me is Montreal at this point.
Do you want to hear something?
I would love to.
I have never been.
No shit. Really?
I live 5 hours away and I have never been.
What would the equivalent of that be for me? Like, never having been to that would be like if I had never been to New York. New York is 5 hours from Boston.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, it would be totally exactly what it would be.
What like, the fuck? Just why not? What are you waiting for, man?
Honestly,
has no. I want you to lie to me. Lie to me.
Never had a reason. Never had a reason. And I want to go. I'm not adverse to going, and I'll probably have a reason soon, because I figure Source Point, I should get our asses out there to do a Montreal Comic-Con.
So that's the question: is did they have a Comic-Con?
They have a Comic-Con, and I plan to get us on in there if Comic-Cons ever come back. But we'll see what happens. It's just
count me in for that one.
I haven't had this gig for long, Ben.
Yeah, you can't reinvent the wheel immediately.
But this year, we spent the past year, and and for anybody who doesn't know, I serve as the Canadian Ops kind of manager for Source Point, and I try to handle all the logistics out at the Canadian shows here. And we did our first Vancouver Fan Expo show this year, and we sold the fuck out. I know I was gonna say those exact words on the last episode, but I'm gonna keep saying them because it was a big deal, right? It was our first time in Vancouver.
It is still true.
I just wanted it to go well.
Yeah, it's still true on this episode as it was on last episode, so you can say it.
And that's why one of the big disappointments is Calgary, because we were supposed to do Calgary in April, and it was going to be our first time in Calgary, and I was super excited to do that show. And unfortunately, we'll have to try next year. But it's cool. So I've been to Vancouver and I've been in Ontario all around, but I have been to no other provinces except for a layover on a plane. And I've never been out east. And that's what kills me, is not having been out east to see like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and like, all that stuff.
It's nice to know that there are townies in other countries too. It's comforting to know that.
I've traveled a lot, but it's all in the US. I've been to Denver, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, all over Michigan. Allentown, Pennsylvania.
One of the coolest things about the conventions is
Florida,
that I had gotten
of course,
travel to places that I actually haven't had previously not had an opportunity to go to, right? So like Detroit, I'd never been to Detroit before doing the shows. New Orleans, I'd never gotten to go to New Orleans.
I want to do New Orleans.
It's incredible. Oh my god.
Actually, you know what? I am never going without you though.
Why? Now I just what do I bring so New Orleans?
I don't know, but that right there,
that was
my
it.
friend.
Yeah, man.
The fact that we'll go out and you won't get dressed up for it. That's why I want you to be the guy with me there in New Orleans, man.
Yeah, man, I absolutely adored it head to toe. The convention sucked. The show sucked. I think we sold like 4 books. There were like 10 people there, but the place itself more than made up for it. Adversely, inversely, the opposite of that was the show. I'd never been to Miami before, and the show was great, and I fucking hated this. Like I just maybe I'm too old. Like I aged out
right.
Of what Miami has to offer. But yeah, I just hated it. I was also sick as a dog. I remember like there was one day where I was in bed just in the fetal position,
ruin a weekend, man.
rocking too, and the boys, God bless them, it was Hayes, Tony Doug Wright, no Greg, anyway, but definitely Hayes and Tony Doug Wright, and they were troopers, really nice, and they put up with the fact that I was sick in their room, and none of them got sick, which is a miracle, absolute miracle. But yeah, dude. So we've gotten to travel a lot. Ireland was the big one. That was the one we were really bummed out about this year because Dublin.
Yeah, that was going to be a big deal.
It was such
with Daryl and everything too.
Yeah, who are two of my absolute best friends from the convention at this point, and my fiance.
Him actually being involved in a project finally.
Yeah, and my fiance and
I. Did you see? Sorry,
you
speaking of that, Aaron. Yeah. Aaron, did you see her Instagram picture?
The red hair.
Yeah.
I see it all, man. I spent too much time on that damn fucking Instagram.
She is glorious, beautiful, and glamorous, and all that stuff.
You know what? I get to boast that I was the first person to bring her to Salem, Massachusetts, which is like for her was a dream come true. I remember they came over last fall. They're in the fall too. And it was great. They got to go to Salem, except for it was so fucking windy and rainy that the only place that she wanted to go was this place called Die With Your Boots On. The shop that's in Salem does all this. Do you know? You don't know. Oh well, just the name alone. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure she's told me about.
Told you about it? Yeah. So we get there and it's raining so fucking bad that the store has just shut its doors because it flooded and the electrical wiring was about to be touched by the water. So
my God.
Yeah. So we got there with like maybe second. So we walked the streets of Salem in the coldest, rainiest shit, and they're Irish, so they were like, yeah, this is normal for us. And I was like, hey, me too. We're not that different. And
nice.
But I will say, I don't know if you know this, but last New York, when I was sitting at Fosget's table, I didn't pre-plan a place to stay at all. So I ended up, they were so nice, dude. They let me sleep on their floor at their bed like a dog, like a puppy dog. Yeah. I mean, the bed people are thinking like, is this a Jack and Rose scenario, right? Is there enough room on the door? And no, there was not enough room this time. Like that bed was but there was not enough room. So I was on the But they were like, we have this much room. It will fit just you. It's yours. They didn't even think twice about it, dude.
Why were you staying with Jay?
He already had someone staying with him. I didn't pre-plan it at all, man. Not even at all. Beautiful. And this year, and of course, this fucking year, like I booked a hotel already.
Yeah, and we're not going.
Yeah. We fortunately, I don't know if the same could be said for you, but most of my travel accommodations and everything I got reversed pretty easy. The only one I lost was Dublin because it was right at that spot where no one was sure what was going on, and
right.
Trump hadn't like officially stopped shit yet. So I lost the money on that flight. I couldn't get that one.
Well, my show's coming up. It was lucky because, and it was down to the wire, man, because we were planning Philly, right?
Yeah, right.
And I was getting ready to let them know, my flights and dates and all that stuff. And I had just finished the schedule too, right? And we're just about raring to go to throw the Great Philadelphia Comic Con, and we had to cancel, and it got shut down. It's been, and now my concern is it's been rescheduled for September.
No way.
But will the borders be open? Well, September maybe. I don't know.
I mean, America muffed the whole fucking thing so bad, dude. Like,
well, that's why the last thing we'll do is open our borders because we're doing well. We're actually, we know it's going to be September. So
no, I am pretty sure that New York is going to get canceled. And if New York gets canceled,
New York hasn't been yet.
Not technically, no.
Oh, really?
It's in October, so I mean, it's still a ways
I
a bit
guess
away.
we'll see what happens, but
Yeah. But honestly, like the response here, I mean, I don't know if you've been following it. The response was so lackluster, so piss poor. Everything was
oh,
fucked.
well, here's what I'm confused about though, is
Yeah.
because it seems different areas are obvious, and this goes back to my theory that 50 little countries fighting over everything, just I don't think it can work. And
I agree with you on that.
it's just too many voices, you know what I mean? And it seems like some are doing well and some aren't. It's hard to get a gauge on how the whole country's doing because I don't trust your numbers. I don't trust any of your media's numbers.
No, I would.
Don't see the CDC numbers. I don't know if they're putting out numbers, but I mean, your president is just no help when it comes to any kind of info about the situation. So I'm in limbo, like, because some people are like, oh, it's fine around me. It's everybody seems to be cool, and other places it's fucking jack wild crazy.
Well, that's the other problem with the way we look at things here is that just because you're doing well doesn't mean that we're all doing well. That's the reason why
Right.
I say, I said early on, like, we happen to at this moment in time have the fortune of being okay, myself and my immediate family, but that doesn't mean that things are okay, right? We have to be more civically minded, and understand those things.
Yeah.
That's the rub of it, man, is that, like, I will say this: if you really want to get a sense of how things are down here, look at the hot spots and
Right.
then cross-reference those with the average IQ
Well, I think
of the
education
area.
is a factor in the situation, absolutely. But here's what right now I feel like I'm in another 2 week period, like 2 week wait period, like we haven't done in forever here. Because it's only been in the past 2 weeks really that you guys have gone super crazy and all these protesters have gone nuts and just gone back to life. So we'll really know in the next 2-3 weeks, how disastrous this may, and I can hope that maybe this whole thing was never as serious as it seemed, but up here we weren't going to take the risk, so we
Yeah.
didn't. But maybe we'll get lucky and there won't be a big second wave, but if there is, it's going to be ginormous because you're literally doing nothing to stop it. Like
Nothing at all. I mean,
which means the borders will never open, which means even if these things happen, I can't go see my friends and I can't go. Like, even if Philly happens in September and our borders aren't open yet, I can't go help run the show I help put together. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's maddening. But you got to just stay cool and realize it's a changing world. And
well, that's it. It's like the way I look at it is that I can only control what I can control, right? Like that's just the truth of it. So, some things will be shittier for me.
Yeah.
Other things won't be shittier. Because I spent so much of my time being such a fucking downer, and not just to other people, but mostly to this dickhead, right? Like, but before I met you guys,
Okay,
like
good to know, because I would have never ever thought that these days.
Well, that's
since the day I met you.
Thanks, dude. Well, because I think I realized that I spent so much time doing that, and it wasn't accomplishing anything really, So the conventions are gone. That sucks. I'm a face-to-face guy. I sell comics. This was the year that I was going to look at really, truly, transitioning out of just having it be a thing that I'm only doing on the weekends and busting my ass on the weekdays doing another job. Like, I was going to start actually making some legitimate money switching over.
You were going to take the shot.
Was this year.
Right.
And so that that got derailed a little bit, but then I got opportunities to write these other projects. Like, I'm writing a book now for this fella in Dubai, and it's this huge, like, this epic novel. And that's my rent is being paid by writing this novel, right? So that I don't know if I would have necessarily had the time to do that otherwise, because it's a very, and then I'm also writing the Seance from novel, and we have the other tattoo book is coming out. I have Chongo just backed on the Kickstarter. We're fulfilling the rewards for that right now. I have this book coming out with Esteban Salinas, the guy who's been doing all those covers for Black.
Dude, this is okay. Hold on a sec. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
I have absolutely completely lost track of your work, and what you're doing. And I know I'm no shit.
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah.
I'm a big fan of what
I
I've
don't
been
blame you.
able to read of you. I love the Seance Room, Ben.
Yeah.
But I am completely lost track. You are doing so goddamn much right now.
So
hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Seance Room, 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Then Beyond the Sea.
Yep.
Then I'm lost. Fill me in.
Gotcha. Seance from 1 to 4, which the trade is coming out. And have you seen the cover for it yet?
No.
So I think we're the
don't
first cover in Source Point. For first cover in Source Point history to do die cut. So what it is that it's the 2 doors, right? And Harry is in the middle of the doors holding the lamp that contains all the ghosts in it. And that portion is negative space, right? So the doors, when you open the first cover, that it's just the doors, and Harry is still there on the inside of that cover, but with a twisted surprise for all the readers, because because we always approached it where it was like, this is,
so it's like clear
just the portion, right?
Wow.
The doors are
Right.
that tangible thing, and then that space in the middle is like as if the door was opening.
What's
so
it
then
made of? Like
nothing. So it's empty, right? And then you see through it to what's the next page. So and the idea always being that.
Wait, but hold on.
Yeah.
Is there like a plasticky material?
Nothing. Totally. You can.
It's just a cutout.
Finger right through it. Yeah.
Oh, it's a cutout.
Yeah.
And then okay.
Yep.
I'm with you. All right.
Yeah. It's actually it's a guillotine. You put your finger in there and real.
You fall through into a book into
a dude. You go full Alice in Wonderland.
Nice. Yeah.
So because the idea of the Seance Room was always that we wanted to play with expectations and the art form and stuff. So when I approached Josh about, I really wanted to do something even bigger, and Josh Werner, who's the editor, with the art director over there, he was like, you can't do that, Ben. Like, there's no money for that. You'll make $0 on this graphic novel. So we scaled it back, and Dustin, who is now our artist on Seance Room and will be moving forward, because the guy he gets Seance Room, like, I mean, he's just totally in it.
Right. Yeah.
So he came up with this really cool idea, and we went with it, and and there it is. So that's out. Then Beyond the Demon and the Sea, the tattoo book, which is a comic book made completely out of tattoo art by Davy Broyles. That came out. That we sold out 2 printings. It's gorgeous. Right, dude. Like, so Davy came up to us at Detroit Comic-Con, and he's talking to Travis, and he's showing him his art, and his art's in this book that it's not even like laminated. It's all loose paper, like loose, and Travis, to Travis's credit, he goes, do something with them. And this was also at the time where I didn't have another book coming out with them yet. So I was like, all right, well, I'll talk to him. And Davey tells me, he's like, oh yeah, I used to be a tattoo artist. And I said, well, fuck, why reinvent the wheel here? You're a tattoo artist. I've got no name to ruin. Right, you know what I mean? Right, so it's like, I can swing big, because there's no failure for me. The floor is already as low as it can go, ultimately. So I said, let's fucking do this. So we did the one-shot comic, all tattoo art. I got Ben Templesmith to do the cover for us, which is a personal hero of mine. Like, that guy was, when I was reading comics, I would buy them just because of him. So then we got that, and then that we sold out of 2 printings of that. So
hold on a sec. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Holding.
I have a situation when it comes to this Source Point Press selling out of first printings and stuff.
Yes.
And in a way, I'm in a magical situation.
Okay.
But it's not one that I like, because it means that there is not enough of vision on Canada and the Canadian comic book community. Because every time somebody gets excited and starts touting about having sold out of runs and printings and stuff, they always forget to say in the States. Because I have not many, maybe 6 copies of the first printing of Beyond the Sea.
You do you really?
Yes, I do, because my basement is the Source Point Press North warehouse, right?
Top dollar, that stuff,
and,
buddy.
But I hold on to these stuff sometimes. It was the same thing with Frank. Frank was all out of what was he out of? Frank Gogol was out of Dead End Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And no, Grief.
Okay.
Grief was done. Grief was sold out, first printing gone, except for the 5 I had sitting in a pile.
Yeah.
So I just want you all to know that my goal is to one day get to the point where you guys remember us enough to mention, you know what? I don't even know if it is sold out, because we're all aware of the fact that there could be some magical hidden copies up in Canada at Jay's house ready to be sold at a local Ontario convention. You'll be sold out.
So you are the guy that all collectors should be like kissing ass on right now, because you're the magical estate sale, right? Like where someone goes to an estate sale and they're like, first X-Men, and they're like, I don't think that,
you know what? I had a really proud moment where, and I can't for the life of me remember which comic book it was at the moment. Oh, look, people are asking for them.
Are they really?
I got you all. I got you all. I hooked you up.
I told you.
Yeah, no worries, guys. I got you all. It's all good. So where was I going?
You don't remember who it was, but you had.
I was talking to Josh Werner, and I don't remember what the book was, but he brought up about some title, some version or variant or something of something. And he's like, that one you'll never find, or blah, blah, blah. I was like, I got those.
Was it rejected? I bet it was rejected.
It was probably one of the 50 rejected or something. I can't get, but just the look of like surprise and joy on his face.
Yeah.
Was just, it was cool to see, because people forget, and occasionally there's been talk of me having to send stuff back because you guys sell out of it all out there, and I'm the only one with any. So
it's funny that the collector,
but it's great because we sell out of everything because our comic books are awesome.
Well, they're awesome. Yeah, I mean, we get pretty lucky, and people, they dig them. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that I'll get a lot of I'll get messages about certain books and that people want them, and they've read them. I think the majority of people who ask me for the books that I have that are like collector's items, they have the second printing or something else, and they've actually read them,
Right.
But yeah, man. So that book came out, and the next one's coming out of that, which Davey's working on right now, because what we decided to do with that was different tattoo styles. So the next one, because the first one was the nautical thing, right?
Right.
So the next one is going to be all the greaser tattoos.
Yes.
1950s, hot rods, pinup girls, flaming 8 balls, pool,
switchblades, fuzzy dice,
stray cats. Yeah, man. So yeah. And then the one after that, when the time comes, it's Japanese traditional.
So is the art already tattooed somewhere, or does he just draw new tattoo art and you use it for the book?
New tattoo art. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's really rad. I actually have a couple of the original pages, and it looks like he just straight up copied someone's tattoos. But it's So anyway, so that's happening, and then the things that are now. So RV9 that came out for me was Mad Cave Studios.
Right. Yeah.
So that came out. That did pretty well. I haven't heard anything about like continuing on with it or anything like that, but I'm proud of it. It was something that got published through Diamond, and got me out there in another way. So I'm thrilled about that. Yeah. And yeah. So I just,
haven't you done some anthology work?
Yeah. But I kind of forget them now. Like I'm pretty much.
You did one recently.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm game. I'll do anything for anyone. Like they'll if they want like a 4-page thing, I'll put it out for them, and I don't even think twice about it, man. So I've done a whole bunch of that shit where I don't remember what they were and are. But the things I'm really proud of coming up is this book coming from Source Point Press that we've already established it's going to be at those guys. It's a book called Second Place, and it is a mockumentary style comic book, a la The Office, a la Drop Dead Gorgeous, Spinal Tap. And it is about bodybuilding aliens. Yeah. So that is coming out. That's going to be a 4-parter, 3-parter. And mockumentary style comic book, man. Again, I wanted to do something different. I'm
really interested to see how that turns out. Like, how do you even go about that?
Because first of all, you watch a shitload of stuff that is done in that style, first of all, to figure out what they're doing.
Right.
And then, reading up on the different things. Like I was reading about this book, The Oral History of the Office, and was reading up about how even the camera angles, what they would do is, because it was done as a documentary, right? They would be late to the action. So usually your frame would be established on your central figure speaking, right? But if you watch that show, what they do is the people will be speaking and they'll just get there in time. Like the camera will just swing there because they're catching the action. So they would need time to get there, right? So you think of little things like that really make a huge difference. Like we showed the art. Ed Smith is doing all this art, really awesome art. Fosgate is his biggest idol. So then he was Ed's a guy who lives up in New Hampshire here, which is the state just above us, right? And he and I had met at a couple of cons and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I like you. Let's do this. You're a funny guy. We want to do this funny book. And then he mentions to me offhandedly, he's like, hey, who I really like is Jay Fosgate. And at this point, like I've known Jay for a couple of years. So I talked to Jay. I said, hey, Jay, can you do the cover for me? This guy really likes your art, and it's very similar, and it would actually fit the tone of the book. So I'm not deviating too far by asking you to do the cover. I said, yeah, absolutely.
And then Jay said, how much?
Yeah, Jay, he did us a really solid. And then I told Ed, and Ed lost his fucking mind, man. Like
that's adorable.
Yeah. So he got the original art and everything, but so that is going to be a comedy that's coming out, and we do
it makes me like wonder. Oh, I'm really interested to see that, Ben. This is a cool fucking idea. It makes me, for some reason, it brings American Splendor to mind.
American Splendor, the comic, or you mean the comic, right? Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen much of the comic, but
I love Harvey.
Even at time, well, obviously it was always different artists and shit, but occasionally they would do that. You'd like see a shot of someone over the shoulder shot of someone like past a filing cabinet,
establishing
like
that stuff.
Moments, totally, man.
So and we showed the art to someone, and he, someone who knew what he was talking about, and he says, man, that the art, I like what you guys are doing. It's really funny, it's really good, but the art's really static. Like where's the dynamics in the cameras? Like it's very it's shot from one spot, and we were like, yeah, that's what we were going for, So this poor guy thought he was like giving us this awful note that he felt bad about it. We're like, no, yeah, that's it,
I'm really stoked, man. This is a cool idea, man.
Yeah, thanks. And then the other thing I got coming out is this book called Whisper, which is older man in the nursing home starts to see that this cat that keeps coming out of rooms just as before the people die. It's actually based on a true story. And then one day
that sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then one day the cat comes into his room. Now here's the kind of the rub about this one, man, is that if you know Esteban Salinas, so he did the Black Cape variant of Beyond the Demon of the Sea with the ship and the tentacles and everything. He's been doing a whole bunch of variants.
Gorgeous.
So yeah, he does this extreme, like paint. Kayla and Dustin do this painted style. He does almost like a fine art, a little bit more. It's not quite as so realistic. It's more interpretive, right? So I said to him, listen, man, I love what you do. I love what your thing. I've got this book. I think we could do it in this weird way where there are no panels in the book. So each page is a free-flowing art form, kind of a la Arkham Asylum, right?
Right.
Where it's got dialogue, it's got these things, but I told him, I was like, man, as far as like, if you get the things that I need on each page, you've got carte blanche as in terms of how you want to present it. Like I don't want panels. I want, and here's the other thing, I'm doing it in prestige size too, because the idea is that it should be an art book where you can flip these pages open and have these really beautifully sized pages to really take in his art. So again, man, it's just another thing where I'm like, I'm too fucking late to have written Superman. Why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I'll do weird shit. I'll do tattoo books. I'll do, like, to me, that's so much more interesting, man.
So I was at Astronomicon in Michigan back in February.
I missed that show, dude. I should really wanted to do that show.
Oh, it was great times. I've been there twice. Awesome times. And I stayed with Casey and Westlake, good friends of ours.
It's a rad place, but do not let Westlake try to play you in Mortal Kombat, dude, because I don't
play video games.
Okay, good. He's a full problem. He's a fucking ringer, dude. He knows what he's doing and he won't tell you.
We just talk Star Wars when I'm there, man.
Okay, all right, good.
And we'll only stay there once, but been there twice. Why was I bringing this up? What the hell were we talking about?
Art, special art. Interesting art.
When I was there in February, our good friend Kelly O'Hara Nemzik dropped by. She dropped by to see me because I'm adorable.
You're adorable.
And she brought with her some of the pages for Nora too.
Yeah.
She's doing the same thing. She's a
Yeah.
painter. She's painting the book, but the panels are there and not there at the same time.
Cool.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I was able to follow the story to the extent that even though it's very, very interpretive, it's very, very, you know, it's wacky, it's different, yet I was able to follow the story, and the dialogue balloons weren't even in there yet, and it made me wonder if they were going to even use much dialogue because of how everything flowed together. And wait till you see this, kids, it is just stunning. Like, Kelly
I'm
has
excited.
knocked it out of the park. Like, I couldn't get over how beautiful that stuff was, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
we're all in that fortunate position to be able to try different
Yeah,
things, you know, because
for
none of us,
sure.
again, it's like there's no big budget movies that you know, fucking they can't do anything with Batman because Warner Brothers has sticks up their ass about it, right? Like, but
Yeah,
no
yeah.
no one's like, listen, Casey, you know, nor are people expect to, like, she can do whatever the fuck she wants, you know. We're in,
Absolutely.
it's a
Yeah.
really enviable position, you know. If
Well,
we're
it's
not,
cool because Kelly doesn't know how to make a comic. She's never made a comic.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to do sequential. She's always just been a painter. She paints portraits and pictures and paints on a canvas. And now she's painting a story, which, you know, she has no idea what she's doing. She's fucking clueless.
yeah,
So in a way, it's really lending itself to the situation because she has no rule. She doesn't know what rules she's breaking.
right, exactly,
Right.
yeah,
And no
yeah,
one's
yeah.
really like, and they're kind of letting her go with it. Right. No one's trying to put rules on her because
Right.
why? Let it flow. Right. So
Yeah.
absolutely. And I love that, you know, there's still these people around willing to try these things. People like you are like, this is what I want to see. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you said, right? Like, if you don't know the rules and you don't know you're breaking them, you probably are doing something awesome, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, I mean, you look at like all the greatest stuff, you know, Jaws, and they had no fucking idea that the shark was going to suck, and then they made something brilliant because it was the passion and the heart, and they were around people who knew what they were doing in some respects. Like, you know, no matter how clueless a person is, they still have Josh Werner, right? And they still have Travis, and they still have you know, people like me out there to sell it for them too. So it's not like they're, you know, there goes my fiance, there she goes, she tried to make it under and she did not.
No, she failed hardcore.
So bad.
She
Like,
might as well done like one of these like dances.
We
like,
saw a
coming
knee.
through.
Like, I saw a knee. Like, I was knee up. I saw more of you than I didn't see.
Well done.
the duck was great. Like, you were like, they'll never see me.
I almost wanted to have a pistol for a minute, like it was
Yeah.
Duck Hunt. Like,
Go, yeah. Yeah, totally, man. And she flats down, and a little prize comes down for you. It's a pink bear. Like, here you go, you done it.
stagehand. Awesome times, man. Awesome times. I'm so excited for all of this stuff, Ben. You sounds like you're pumping out some good times. Like, the juices are flowing, eh?
Juices are flowing, man.
Yeah. So what's the deal with the goddamn music? You're very, very talented, and have you just written a million songs we haven't heard? Are you ever gonna consider recording maybe something, or
So
what?
we did the seance from vinyl, right? And
Right.
that's great, and I have those to sell at the conventions. And you don't want to try to go background? Are you sure? So, you know, we have those, and I'm really excited to start selling those at conventions again so people can hear them. And I even bought a portable record player so we can play them at the tables and everything. But
no, that's snazzy.
yeah, man, it's great. It's
awesome.
green velvet.
No, it isn't.
Sure is, buddy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna match Josh's hair.
It's this week.
Yeah, this week. Yeah,
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll get him to coordinate with the vinyl. We'll be like, look, Werner, you got to from now on coordinate with the machine. Yeah, that'd be great.
Did you just you gave me a Boston coordinate too? I think a little bit.
I did coordinate. coordinate it.
This guy over here's got a coordinator. Otherwise, it's going to be just an absolute shit show. Oh my god!
Right
And
on, Harry.
furthermore, if Josh doesn't do what he's supposed to, he's out of here. But
oh, that's great. Oh,
it's like when you go Scottish. When you
I'm
go
gonna be
full
using.
Scottish.
I'm gonna be using that all day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And furthermore,
yeah, that's the good one.
Furthermore, is that it?
Yeah. But you know, yeah. Well,
Fathom.
oh God, when you break it down, it's always the worst. Like father.
No, because there's no R's, right? You have to take the R completely out, don't you? It's like father. It'd be father in a way, right? No?
Father.
Yeah.
There's something we do this thing where we both swallow words and also speak from here. It's a I've thought about it a lot. It's really weird. But
There's
anyway,
this guy on YouTube who actually breaks it down, and it's awesome.
breaks it,
to
yeah.
see. But anyways,
I love people like that are incredible, dude. When you see those people who can tell you exactly where things sit in the face and the mouth and the palate and all that. But So music.
I would like to see a Source Point library grow, because there's that, and there's also the Dead Duck and Zombie Chick on vinyl.
Oh, on the vinyls, yeah.
And of course I'm an audio guy. Obviously, we're here on my podcast, and I think it'd be cool if we've talked about it in the past, like doing more like audio drama type stuff for fun, because it's free for me to produce it. And like,
oh my God, we should absolutely do
and there was one time I did for Halloween, I did a reading of one of Casey's stories from Pieces of Madness.
Oh, great, dude. Whenever you need something, you let me know. Whenever you need something. If there's a guy with a Boston accent who you need, you just send out the signal.
I'll get on
you put up the Boston signal, which is just like I think like the Boston Red Sox logo shot into the sky, right? Or Calvin from the Calvin and Hobbes pissing on the New York logo.
What's so ridiculous about everything I just said, though?
Look at that right there. I was sitting on one. I have
so much around.
So much fucking Boston stuff. I'm sitting on them. What else is in here? Do you have anyway, yeah.
You know what's funny about everything I just said, though? It's kind of a crock of shit, because as we speak, Franklin and Ghost is being made into an animated television show with Billy Bob Thornton. So
yeah, it's pretty rad.
That's some audio shit for people to get excited about, right?
We need more. Damn it.
Yeah. More, damn it, with me.
God damn it. You know what I really want is I want a Sex Lump vinyl. That's what I'm working towards.
Well, you've made some. It's almost weird that there are actually Sex Lump songs.
Did you hear the newest one?
I think so.
Did you the one the Rails on Rails?
No,
you haven't heard that one yet.
Send me that shit.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
It came out of, as they always do, because Sex Lump was this fake band that we came up with at the Atlantic City show, because it was so goddamn slow that we were sitting around just dicking around. And then
it came out of that picture, right?
Well, the picture
you guys took that picture when you were bored walking by the pier, and it turned out the greatest album cover of all time.
And then I mocked up,
and then you
the
mocked
album
up
cover with songs on the back of shit we were talking about all weekend.
All took off from there, man.
And it all took off, because I take things too far.
I think I'm. You know what? I'm not ashamed to take credit for the fact that I was one of your number one fans, man. I pushed that.
Oh, shit. You interviewed Sex Lump.
I interviewed Sex Lump, which was funny because if you listen to the interview, the only one talking is you.
It's me.
Yet there were, for the rest of the band, was standing there in a circle around me, interviewing Sex Lump, which turned out to only the lead singer spoke. Everybody else just stood there.
Oh my God, I forgot we interviewed a Sex Lump until this moment.
I may have said like one thing. Dude, you know what? One of the first times I think it was like the second time after I had met Jay Fosgate in Michigan at Motor City was when he came here for Toronto Comic-Con. And I had met Bodie Troll, the original Bodie Troll, version 1 at Motor City, and then he brought him out here to Toronto, and one of our first interactions was me interviewing Bodie Troll.
Yeah.
Now the stupid thing about it was audio on a podcast.
Oh, so nobody
videotaped it. Nobody even took a goddamn picture. Yet Jay sat there and did an audio interview with me with that damn puppet on his hand.
You need to interview Tuck Bodkins.
I do. Did you see Jay Tuck Bodkins or Tuck Clarkins or whatever he called it?
Tuck Clarkins?
You know he makes it costumes.
He dressed up as you?
He made it a little hat. like mine, and he made
Oh,
a
I
big
didn't see that
doob,
one
and
yet.
there's a big doob coming out of his mouth.
Oh no, I didn't see
And
that one yet.
yeah, man, I don't think he videoed. It was just a picture, I think. I can't remember. He's done so many at this point, but
Yeah, Jay. I mean, talk about guys who can take things too far. Like Jay will not. Jay will not look at something and say, "How can I not make this?" He's the type of guy who will take it and go, "What are the 800 options here?"
Right.
But that's probably what makes him such a formative creator, right? Is he's this formidable creator because he's not the parts of normal humans that make you go, I shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
That spot never happens. It's I should
He
do
is,
that,
you,
and
you know
then
what? I hope. Yeah, I don't know if he's watching, but I know he'd be saying to himself right now, "I am Jay Fosgate, and I do what I want."
I won't. Yeah.
And that's just how it rolls. Now, did you see his recent pictures? The
Oh yeah,
fire
Mad
haired
Max.
girl and the fire
Oh.
haired girl, the painting he did.
Yeah,
The
the online
Batman,
stuff.
the Batman.
Yeah, it's his new.
It's
He's trying to do all the digital painting stuff, and it looks great.
I mean, I've known him for a few years now, and I know his art better than anybody, and he still consistently blows me away.
Yeah, I think especially
Consistently blows me away.
especially
It's
for a
insane.
guy like Jay who's already made his nut on a certain type of thing to say I'm not satisfied with just this and to move keep trying new things and
Right.
like to me that's where I want to go and what the type of creator I want to always be. So I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, I love that a guy like a guy like Jay who could for the rest of his life be drawing Muppet Babies and no one would bat an eye, right? But
Right.
that's not enough. And I like that. But yeah, man. So I'll send you the rails on rails. But it came from Devin,
Please, yeah.
Devin Fother, who literally is, he's the muscle of Source Point in a lot of ways, and he like sends me like dumb titles for certain shit sometimes that he thinks would be funny, and sometimes I'm like that would be funny, and other times I'm like that would be funny, and then I'll sit down with GarageBand and all of my shit, and I will
Right.
build a song from scratch with like a full band and everything, and
I love
most of it tends towards the cheesy 80s rock, like
Sounds
cock
good.
rock
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And because like one of my favorite ones was Broken Chairs, which came out of like there was a string of have you heard this one? You heard that one?
Yeah,
Where there was a
yeah.
string of like for a while Source Point Press creators were breaking chairs at every convention.
Oh,
So like
it was amazing.
and it's like tongue in cheek because it's the song is built and I'm taking so much fucking time with these songs and really working on these songs and making them. But then there'll be lyrics like you may crush a Sobek with the weight you bear, but no longer will you have to bear the weight of broken dreams, broken hearts, and broken chairs. Right? So like, these fucking dumbass lyrics that, but like on top of songs that I've spent just multiple hours.
Listen, just know how much I appreciate your effort, okay,
Good, man.
and all your hard work. I'm sex lump for life, man. Like, it's just what a beautiful occurrence, the whole happening of the whole damn thing. There you go, kids.
Yeah.
Like, we keep going over. We are having so much fun doing these goddamn chats.
I think we're all desperate for human interaction as well, right? Like,
well, I think part of it is, like I said, I took that break and I let everybody kind of do their thing and, get into it. Unfortunately, it meant me ending up with a still crappy webcam, but don't worry, kids, we'll get that fixed eventually once Logitech actually makes some more. But I took a little break. I stepped back. I saw everybody trying to get comfy, figuring out their stuff, and I was watching a lot. And you know what kind of brought me back was people were doing cool stuff and, lots of fun interviews, but man, were people being journalists. It's been a lot of very straight up, like
what was the inspiration for this comic?
Comic-Con.
Who are your heroes?
Yeah, Comic-Con type, interview-esque media type stuff. And I was like, that's all well and good. That's awesome and all, but everything felt promotional, which it was because everything's,
to some extent, yeah.
And absolutely, right. I want it to be promotional now. I've been promotional at times, absolutely. But then I remembered what my show is. And my show is, as much as we promote and talk about stuff and what's going on, 3 seconds later, we're off talking, me and Garrett were talking about bodybuilding for 20 minutes last night. Like,
he's definitely, he's turned on that too lately.
Do you know what I mean though? Like, it goes where it goes. I let it go. And it's not, pre-thought out or construct. And that's what I felt has been missing from all this zooming going on.
Yeah.
Everybody has been having sets and backgrounds and structure and this and that. I mean, you fuckers are lucky I'm even throwing my picture and theme song up there at the beginning. To be honest, I'm only doing that so I don't have to edit it in later.
Yeah, there you go.
But you know, and I was like, you know what, I'm ready to chat again. I miss my friends. We're in a pandemic, and I made my peace with the ocean that has swelled up. And so far, it's been a blast, man. And this is just more evidence of it. So thank you so much, Ben, for hanging out with me tonight.
Oh no, you're so welcome, dude. Thank you for. I mean, of all the creators you could have asked in the Source Point week, you know, the fact that you asked me to be one of them. I again, full sincerity, like, and I hate being sincere because I actually get like sometimes emotional. But thank you, dude. I mean, I truly mean that. And you know, the nice thing too about your like talking with you about this stuff is that this is the way we would have shot the shit anyway. And you're part of the show. You're part of with you know, with us. And so it's I mean, you know, it's not going to be those formal questions because you know, that's not the way you talk to your family, right? Like that's
absolutely not. No,
you know,
that's why I was very specific, and it's not just Source Point week, but it's kind of Source Point heavy hitters week because it's people I know that I'm going to have fun having a good or interesting conversation with. And that's, you know, that's why I do this. But like I was saying, the last show, kids, where I got some stuff lined up for next week, and we're going to have some new faces. We're going to have some Canadian faces. You know, but I needed to, you know, engage with the family for a bit, and that's why it's been Source Point week, and it's been super fun. But Ben, where can the people find you online?
You guys can find me on Instagram at MRBENAU, Mr. Ben AU. That's, I mean, you can get me in touch there, man. That's where I'm the most, and if you send me messages, I'll message back and all that kind of stuff. So that's go there. Yeah.
Super fun. Everybody check out all Ben's awesome work and everything coming, and I will keep trying to provide it for you. Back the comeback, kids. There it is, kids. Classic.
Back the comeback.
That right there is all we are
Elegant
going to
weapon.
have this week
For the more
on an elegant weapon.
civilized age.
You think it is?